Well, it certainly didn't take long for the lipstick to come off of that pig, as I had mentioned in the previous chapter, but really by the end of it, we're left with more questions.
One Piece, Chapter 447, Zombie in the
Corona
Box.
and Absalom. I gotta remember those names in case they wind up being important down the road over here. You never know at the beginning of these arcs, but... Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and I'm here to bring you another review on the awesome and the epic and the thrilling tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw really the the main two things happening from our two parties over here. Is the party that wound up meeting Dr. Hogback, and that being kind of the chicken shits, Nami, Usopp, and Chopper. Nami was pretty much like fondled in the shower by some invisible person. Its name we find out is Absalom in this chapter. That they wound up kind of chasing off, and their plan was to go and kind of sneak out in the middle of the night and get back to the shore to get back to the ship. Luffy and company, they had gone and ventured out and just kind of run into the Cerberus right as they landed on shore. And that's how the chapter left off. That's right where the chapter picks up, and really, again, it's a tale of two chapters, and it was kind of a silly chapter in a sense that not a lot happened. Not a ton happened, and I'm going to be honest with you, this is one of those chapters that, although I don't think it was bad, I know that I have the next one and the next one and the next one to look forward to. But if it was 5-6 years ago, and excuse me, I was reading this on a weekly basis, as many of you do now, I would have looked at this chapter and said, I don't know if a lot happened in here that really warranted it being a chapter, you know. But we do find out a little bit more about the island and its inhabitants and the kind of zombie-like creatures. It starts out, we've got Luffy, we've got Robin, we've got Sanji, we've got Zoro, we've got Frank, we've got the Beasts, right? They're on shore. They've run into the Cerberus. And Luffy, before they're going to go and beat the shit out of the thing, Luffy's like, hold on, let me see if I can tame it, right? And they're like, you can't. It's like the dog from the depths of hell, right? And we know that one of its heads is like a fox, and these things look like everything was sewed on. It's got a real Frankenstein-y look. And Luffy's like, no, you know, it's cool. I mean, it's a dog. At the end of the day, it can be tamed, right? So he tries taming it. The dog's biting at him and everything. Luffy winds up just jacking him up. Boom! Just nails him. And the next thing you know, he's riding him, you know? And Luffy's so excited. He's like, I can't believe we saw something so cool right at the beginning of the island. And from watching the anime like I have with my family, obviously, for the past year now, and being almost 300 episodes into it, the English dub, the voice actor, he's just so enthusiastic. You know, he's just, oh my God, it's an island, it's a new place, you know? And it's that cool childlike mentality. It's that person that we all want to be. You know, when you grow up, you got to be responsible and you got things to do, right? And it's not that Luffy's not responsible. Well, he is kind of irresponsible in some ways, but Luffy's got his priorities, okay? But Luffy ultimately is doing what Luffy wants to do. And may we all find it in our lives to be able to do that, to be able to get to that point where we can do things that we want to do. I do this because I want to do it, because I find joy in it and happiness. It brings a smile to my face, right? So, may we all find that in our lives, in our careers, whatever path that we wind up taking, because that's how Luffy is. Just so excited about life with that childlike amazement and wonderment, and just amazing to see that, you know. They wind up coming across this talking tree and this unicorn-like creature that are sitting having some tea together, and it reminds you of some crazy-ass, like, nightmarish Alice in Wonderland type of shit. It's like if Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas went and had a baby with, like, the movies, maybe, like, Labyrinth and, like, a couple of the other sort of never-ending story-ish types, this is what you would come across, right? And if Michael Jackson was there to go and touch all the little kids, like the pedophile that he was, God rest his soul. Anyway, if he's even up there, and if there is. But my point being is that it's absolutely cool, just the whole... I guess the whole background and ambiance for me is like a cool living character. And I know I said that in Water 7, and I meant it. But in here, it's cool because the character or the backgrounds are actually living. You know, some of these trees and stuff like that that would normally be inanimate objects are moving. So anyway, that's pretty much all we get with them. That's all. There's not a whole lot going on. It goes back to Dr. Hogback's castle. Immediately following the events of Nami getting fingered or touched or whatever, fondled in the bathroom, in the shower, and she's now dressed, and it's so funny because Usopp still thinks that she's talking shit, that there wasn't even an invisible person attacking her. He goes and says to her straight up, no, you just wanted me to see you naked so you could charge me, you could extort me for money, like, hey, you got a free show, 5,000 berries, 10,000, whatever she's charging these days for a peek at her knockers, right? And so anyway, she's trying to explain, no, it was, you know, and then, of course, So as they're walking around this place, and she's like, we're just going to get out of here, right? Chopper doesn't want to leave, though. He still wants to hang out and talk with his idol, Dr. Hogback, you know? As they're walking through and wandering through this just creepy mansion, I just can't help but think of, like, Scooby-Doo. Anybody who grew up in the 80s, 90s, hell, even the 2000s, because my sons both love Scooby-Doo. There's been iterations of it on cartoons, cartoon movies, TV shows, everything, you know, movies. And Scooby and Shaggy creeping through a castle is exactly what Usopp and Chopper look like as they're wandering around, you know, just kind of like that dun, 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 you know, hilarious. Anyway, and the fact that they both love to munch up and eat food and everything like that too, just like a Scooby and Shaggy, you know, perpetually hungry. But so as they're creeping through this castle, they wind up coming into the big room again, right, the big open room, and they're looking for Dr. Hogback, and somebody winds up telling them that they're not there. We also wind up seeing a brief scene before that with Dr. Hogback, and he's actually talking with, and you don't see who he's talking with, and he refers to the invisible person, I believe, as Absalom, and then I believe he refers to another person as Perona, because those two names are mentioned, and he talks about how they're going to capture the crew, and Luffy's going to be real tough because the world government wouldn't just put a 300 million, you know, bounty berry on him if he, 300 million berry bounty on him, sorry, I said it backwards, you know, if he wasn't a dangerous and difficult to trap person. But basically we know now, I mean, the lipstick has come off the pig, but I mean, come on, did we really ever think that this shit was on the level? I know I didn't, I'm sure you didn't either. So, we know that's the plan with them. As they wander into this room, again, the lipstick comes off the pig, and what happens is all kinds of crazy stuff that was normally like paintings on the wall and stuff like that. It starts out with this painting reaching out and trying to grab Chopper to pull him in, right? And then you get like this thing that looks like a stuffed and mounted pig up on the wall. This thing winds up going and actually throwing a sword down at him. The sword misses but hits this carpet. The carpet's like a bear rug carpet, bear skin rug carpet. It gets up. So all these things actually are alive. It's some kind of reanimated corpses, some kind of crazy-ass experiments, whatever. We know Dr. Hogback doesn't want anybody down in his laboratory. Now we have an idea why. This guy's probably the one that's doing and creating all these weird-ass frickin', you know, conjurings and amalgamations of humans and whatever else, right? And stitching them all together like some twisted, weird Frankenstein. It's pretty cool. But at the same time, we don't even see Dr. Hogback other than that quick little, you know, snippet in here. So I'm not sure. I don't know if he's, you know, one of the antagonists or just kind of like almost like the mini boss, so to speak, of here, or who he's working with or for. I don't know. I don't know any of that stuff yet. So we haven't seen Brook since he took off 5-6 chapters ago when they got on the island. But everything winds up ending as they get attacked, and Usopp's going and trying to go and like, because fire is their natural weakness, right? Their natural enemy. Winds up hitting the carpet with fire, the bear rug carpet. Everybody's burning up. They're trying to get him. They're trying to get out of the room. Nami can't. The door is locked. They wind up going and eventually getting pushed into the fireplace of this main great hall room that they're in because they're locked in. They got nowhere else to go, right? And like awesome ultimate Scooby-Doo fashion, they wind up accidentally triggering some kind of hidden switch, and they wind up flipping around through a hidden room, and then they wind up locking the door somehow or another because all the other creatures can't get to them. And they're like, oh my god, he's going to find Dr. Hogback's laboratory. They're going to find it. So we know that they're on the way to that. And there's tons of other creatures, though, they're kind of attacking them on the way. They're running. They're on the run. At the end of the chapter, they come into this room where it has a painting on the wall and several pictures of that Sindri, the one that liked to throw the plates. And she obviously looks a lot different. She looks like this kind of weird Frankenstein puppety doll type thing. But in the pictures, it looks like it was a normal human being. So, you know, my whole theory is, at least at this point, is that whatever this has to do with Dr. Hogback, or if it has some other kind of power at work here or force, or it's the island itself that helps to reanimate the dead or whatever, that obviously she had lived in or was the, you know, the lady of this mansion before, and of course now it has been reanimated in some way, shape, or form, and who knows what happened to, you know, her husband or whatever. I have no idea. But that's how things end off over here, and definitely pretty cool. But a little bit weird, too, you know. I just, like I said, I'm trying to wrap my mind around all of it over here. So, my chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is, ultimately, what are your thoughts on a story arc like this? It seems like this arc doesn't seem as campy and far-fetched as, like, Long Ring, Long Land, which I enjoyed. I didn't mind it. I did go through it pretty quickly, because that was when I came back from being sick at the beginning of the year, and I was putting out a couple, 2 or 3 videos a day to get through it, because everybody was like, oh, it's so terrible. For me, the 20 chapters, no big deal. This, I think, is a little bit of a longer arc. I want to say it's like 40 or 50 chapters, I think, if I remember right. But you know, what are your thoughts on an arc like this that it seems a little bit campier. It seems a little bit, I don't want to say cheesy, I don't want to say childish, I don't want to say, you know, I mean, I know some people have alluded to there's a lot of comedic moments and stuff, but what are your thoughts on an arc like this one in Thriller Bark, especially as like a main arc? This is actually a saga, I believe. So let me know what your answer to that question is in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We've looked forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
So, I am here because of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching.